Shall I go on the right?
You go where you most
Yep, everyone's out
comfortable.
that direction.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, Cross City just declared.
Oh, they have,
For
okay.
the city, for the whole city.
Okay, and that's because of the city.
Exponential has got an issue and also one ETS.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome you here to the Selwyn District Council this evening. Today we're going to brief you on the current situation for the Selwyn District. As you know, we are under a state of emergency due to the severe weather that we're experiencing at present. I'll come back to you with more details on the situation. You'll also hear from Councillor Sophie McInnes. But firstly, very happy to welcome Minister for Emergency Management, Mark Mitchell.
Thanks, Al. Look, thanks everyone for coming out. First of all, I want to acknowledge the Chief Executive, the Council, the Mayor, Al and his team. Yesterday we became aware that there was a weather event coming through. It was going to hit Christchurch quite hard. They have responded very quickly. They've stood up their EOC along with Dan Gordon and his team down in Waimak. They did exactly the same thing. So they have been stood up quickly. They've responded quickly. They've obviously put themselves into a local state of emergency. That was absolutely the right thing to do. And they made those decisions early. They're well in control of the situation. I've just had some information as I was standing up for the stand-up with you to say that Christchurch has just put themselves into a local state of emergency as well. We can see that they're dealing with a lot of water, but you know, the response here is outstanding. They know what they're doing here. This is not the first time they've had to deal with weather events, and from what I can see, they're doing an outstanding job. Quite simply, I'm always here on the ground with them to make sure that we can surge any support or provide any support to them from a central government level. Want to acknowledge our first responders, police, FENZ and St John's, as always, have stood up and doing an outstanding job also. I will hand over to Sophie as a member of the council here, and then we'll go to any questions that you might have. Thank you. Sophie.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you very much to everybody who's been working in our Emergency Operations Centre since late last night. There was the full night shift, and then this morning they were relieved by the day shift, and again we'll move into another night shift soon, and it's great to see all of our local emergency services working with our staff to provide the best response possible to our local people. At the moment we have one welfare centre open at Lincoln Event Centre. It hasn't had a great deal of use, but it's always good to have that information and that support there for anyone who needs to self-evacuate. We've also got some community hubs led by community volunteers in Doyleston and also at Lakeside Hall. And sandbagging stations would be at Leaston, Doyleston, Ladbrokes, Sheffield and Glen Tunnel right now. But again, if anyone has some local issues that they'd like to report, the best thing to do is to call our council community line, the council phone line, to report those issues. But if there is an emergency or if there's floodwaters coming up to your property, then go straight for 111. That's the best way to get immediate service. Thank you very much, and again, thanks to everybody who's been working hard in the rain today.
Do we have any questions?
Minister, how long have you been on the ground in the area? What have you seen, and what are you actually here to offer in terms of support? Yeah,
so I've been on the ground since sort of mid-afternoon today. I had a full briefing when I arrived in terms of what had been done overnight. I was in constant contact with the Mayor, Sam Broughton, last night, through the night. Obviously they put themselves into a local state of emergency in the earliest hours of this morning, based on the information that they had and the fact that they wanted to get ahead of it and make sure that they're making decisions early. From a central government point of view, it's important to be here. I think this is the 9th, maybe the 10th local state of emergency that I've been at personally. There's a whole lot of things we can do, whether it's topping up a mayoral relief fund, whether it's surging more support in here if they need it, and obviously identifying what we need to do and how we can assist with the recovery, because although we're in a response phase at the moment, the recovery phase is already underway, and that is just what happens in these local states of emergency.
So we can hear the rain
rain outside at
Yeah.
the moment. Can you guys tell us what we can expect tonight? I mean, is this going to continue? There's been talk that it might, die down at 6 o'clock, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. What's the forecast going forward overnight?
So the forecasting is showing that the rain should start to ease up. But as you've seen, we've just seen Christchurch District Council put themselves into a local state of emergency. And the reality of it is, although the forecasters, the Met Service do an outstanding job of trying to forecast weather, nothing is 100%, and certainly around the intensity of it. And that's why it's critically important for us as a country, for our district councils, for our regional councils, and acknowledge that the regional council is here as well, and central government, is that we act quickly and make decisions early. And that's the best thing that we can do in terms of mitigating and making sure that we're ahead of the response.
Have you had any update from the District Council? I know that some of the roads down there are quite badly affected as well.
No, I haven't.
Anything from them?
No, I haven't had any updates from them, but the updates are coming in. Obviously, I've been spending a bit of time with the team here, getting an update here. I will be travelling up to Waimak after I've been here, and obviously I'll be going into Christchurch to get updates in terms of what they're dealing with as well.
This event is obviously still a developing situation. Met Service telling us that heavy rain could last until about midday tomorrow. What will you be monitoring and looking at over the coming 24 hours?
Well, I mean, so exactly, it's continuing to monitor and look at the amount of rain that's falling and the amount of water that people are going to have to deal with. And there's a whole lot of considerations. This is a rural community as well, so you've got cows that are still being milked. They're going to be trying to dry them off probably in the next week. There's a whole lot of issues that the council has to be dealing with, and things that us at central government level can help and support with that as well.
Do you expect there to be a sting in the tail of this weather event for some time yet?
I hope not, but if you look at the thunderstorms that were well forecast in Auckland, it's very difficult to anticipate the intensity of it. And that's why it's so important to, in terms of response, to see what exactly has happened here, is that the leadership have made decisions early, they've stood things up. The Selwyn district, in fact the whole of the South Island, are pretty experienced in dealing with these weather events. A reality for us as a country is they're going to keep coming. They probably are going to increase in intensity, but we're getting better and better as a country in terms of being able to build and strengthen their ability to respond and the resilience in terms of dealing with them.
And farmers we spoke to today frustrated with the road closures, they can't move their stock. What's your message to them?
There's always frustration with, and there's always disruption when we're dealing with these events. Every single decision that is taken around safety and making sure that people remain safe. And I'd encourage everyone to update themselves. They can go to the local council CDM sites, they can go to the NEMA sites and keep themselves updated with information. Generally speaking, most of the communities are outstanding. They understand, they take a bit of ownership themselves in terms of preparation, and they realise that they don't want to put anyone else in unintended danger. Our first responders are out there trying to respond and help them and provide the support. And generally speaking, it's always a very good response in terms of cooperation with the council, with our council officers, with our first responders and the people out there trying to help them.
And do you have a sense of what size team is out there, who these people are working to try and clear roads, etc.?
Well, I'll turn to Al on that because he is the expert in providing the leadership in terms of coordinating locally. So Al, you're probably best placed to speak to that.
So the number of people out on the ground, we have our contractors, there would be 20 or 30 at least of them, both our Three Waters contractors and our roading contractors. We have response team members from Selwyn and also from Christchurch City who have been giving us a hand since about 5 o'clock yesterday. So some of them have been working some pretty long hours. In regards to the roads, there's 18 roads closed at the moment. They are for safety. The last thing we want is people to drive into floodwaters and get stuck and either lose their lives or get injured. So it's a precautionary approach, and hopefully those farmers who are having trouble shifting their stock, they're welcome to give us a call. We have MPI in the room, and we will work with them to help them do what needs to be done to look after their stock.
Are you aware of any issues? Are you aware of any issues with safety? Has anyone come unstuck that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Al, just a question about Doyleston. This morning the residents there were a bit upset because the road wasn't closed for quite some time and the water from the road was actually going into the houses as people were going past. Do you feel you acted quick enough there at Doyleston, and could it have the service have been improved there and at Southbridge where there's been issues as well?
So we were in contact with Fens in both Leaston, which is close to Doyleston, and Southbridge, but we were also dealing with getting the state of emergency up and going early hours, and then working with the residents of the Upper Selwyn huts. So sometimes we may have missed some things. We apologise for that, but there was a lot of things happening in those early hours of the morning. So we did what we thought was right at the time. Lessons will be learnt, and we are working with the residents of Doyleston. We've asked them to self-evacuate. Those feel under threat from the floodwaters. We'd rather they do that tonight while it's still light. So we'll work with them. Our 0800 number is there for them to ring us, and we'll do what we can to help people. The big thing is we want to look after our residents, our communities, and we'll continue to work with them over the next 24 hours at least.
Is there anyone that's feeling alone and a bit afraid tonight as the rain continues? What would you suggest? What's your advice for them?
If they are at risk, 111. If they want to talk to us here, 0800 Selwyn. Give us a call, we'll answer the phone, and we'll do what we can to help people. We put out over 250 sandbags last night in the early hours of this morning to do what we could to mitigate the risk to people's houses. So we've been working pretty hard. And I really want to thank our contractors and our volunteers. And the volunteers in our Emergency Operations Centre, they've done an absolutely outstanding job. Thank you.
Just grab your full name, sorry.
My full name?
Yeah.
Al Lawn, L-A-W-N. And I'm the Head of Emergency Management for Selwyn District Council and Local Controller.
All right.
Thank
for
you.
coming out, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.